Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Craig Holman, a former soldier in the British Army, now turned mortgage advisor, and welcome back to a new video. If you want to stay updated with anything sort of military, fitness and finance mortgage related, then make sure you click that subscription button, turn the notifications bell on, and also give us a thumbs up because it really helps the channel and the video. But today we're going to be talking about leaving the army and sort of my number one tip. So I've put a short YouTube short out recently, and me being a bit silly, I only did a 15-second clip instead of ticking 60-second clips. I actually only posted about half the video, and it actually did really well, so I didn't delete it. I tried to re-upload a new one, it just didn't do as well, so I've left it up. But what it does do is sort of make it look like I have something against the army, and sort of talking down about it. So I wanted to do a full video to explain about my number one tip and what you should do when leaving the military. I always like to say that, look, I actually love the army, I had a great career, and I always recommend that people should join, but at some point you do need to leave, and whether that's after 4 years, 5, 8 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, 22 years, or 35 years, at some point you need to leave. And when you do need to leave, you need to be selfish, and this is what I said. You really do. At the end of the day, you're moving on from this one career here to a new career, okay? You're changing your life. And at the end of the day, when you leave the army, military, RAF, Navy, whatever it is, that's you out. You're no longer a part of them, okay? They don't have to help you, and they don't really help you. I'll be honest, since I've left, no one's made contact with me apart from my friends. I don't really expect them to. There are many charities out there. They give you a whole year to do resettlement, and you really need to utilise that year. And this is where you need to be selfish. Don't be selfish sort of when it comes to jobs, operational sort of deployments, but there's times when you do need to sort of just think about yourself and say no when it comes to certain things. I've heard throughout this last few months or the last year that there's been people signed off, and I've seen it throughout my whole career, to be honest, where their chain of command, okay, their line managers are saying no to them doing sort of resettlement courses. And that's not how it works, and that's not how it should work. Just because they're upset because you're leaving the army, because now they're going to be one person down or they've got to find someone to replace you, so it makes a little bit more work for them and their team, doesn't mean they should mess up your resettlement. At the end of the day, you're leaving the army, it's your choice, and you're going to be doing a new job. So you need to make sure you're prepared, especially when it's someone like me or any others. You do sort of become institutionalized within the military. Everything's done for you. You've got your private, you've got your medical, your dental, your money, your accommodation, sort of food nowadays, even though it's pay as you dine. You turn up for parade, they tell you what you've got to, where you've got to be, what you've got to wear. You have all this disposable income. You go around the world and it's all paid for. You know, if you live in the block, even like in military quarters, your bills are absolutely bare minimal. Okay, and it is quite hard when it leaves. So you need to use that full year. You also, if you're like me, joined at 16, you have no other qualifications or work experience to start any other jobs. And there's times where I went for job interviews and they were like, look, we know you could do a manager's job, you've been a manager, but you've not been a manager in this sector. So literally you'll be starting on a wage of around £16,000. Couldn't do it. So you need to make sure you're putting time towards courses. And the way when it works, when you sign off, you basically sign off, it then needs to get authorised up at Glasgow. Once it gets authorised at Glasgow, you need a couple of interviews, one being with Deck Commander, one being with your IRO, which is your resettlement officer. Once you've had those interviews, you can then start booking courses, depending on how long you've served, or depend on how many sort of GRT days, how much funding you get. And then you can use that whenever you want in your final 12 months, or depending when you get signed off. You know, it takes a while for him to sign you off at Glasgow, then for you to have your interviews, you could lose a month or two before you can actually start anything. But generally, if you have your GRT days and you have a course, and it's very important that this course that you want to do to retrade is only done at certain times, so you need to get on at a certain sort of time within that 12 months, because they're only running 2 courses within the next 12 months. It's not a popular course that's run all the time or something, and your line manager is saying, no, I need you to go on this exercise, or I need you around because we've got some sort of check coming up. I can't remember what the checks are, but you need to make sure you need to go and check all those serial numbers and our accounts are all up to date for when this check happens. At the end of the day, you need to get on that course and say, look, no, I need to go on this course. If they don't let you do it, go to your resettlement officers. But don't be rude about it. You know, still be disciplined, but just say to them, look, this course is really important, okay? You really need to be selfish in your final year. You need to do all your jobs. You need to carry on turning up for work every day, on time, smart, disciplined. But when it comes to booking courses, getting your CV written, going for interviews, make sure that you do get those booked in. You're not getting sort of palmed off to go on some sort of small exercise or something that's not really sort of operationally important for you or the regiment, because once you leave, like I said, no one cares. No one's contacted me. Someone from CTP, Career Transitional Partnership, emailed me just to make sure I had a job. They do follow-ups over the next 2 years. But at the end of the day, since I've left, and I've been on leave since February, so end of February, I was officially out on the 20th of May. No one has contacted me apart from obviously people like colleagues and friends that I generally speak to out of work anyway. They're the only ones that have contacted me. So don't think in your final year that you need to do people favours. You've served your time, you've done what you've needed to do. You now need to think about yourself when you leave, because at the end of the day, when you do leave, it's really hard. I'm not going to lie, it's a mental struggle, especially for people that have served a long time. It's a completely different world out on the civilian street. And if you're like me, going from employed into sort of a self-employed pay sort of job role, where I haven't been paid for the last few months, I had to make sure all my courses were done. I was up to scratch on mortgages to get this job, because if I didn't and I just, you know, was like, oh, it's fine, I'll sort it when I leave, or I'll sort it on my final couple of months of resettlement leave, don't, because you want to make sure you're sorted before you go on that. I made sure everything was sorted before I went on my resettlement leave, so I knew I had a job to go into. I wasn't panicking. If you wait till those last couple of months, this is when people start struggling mentally, massively struggle mentally. So make sure you be selfish, but you don't be rude. You know, just say, look, politely, look, I really need to do this course. It's the only time it's running, or I really need to go to this interview. It's the only time I can do it. As long as you're either using like your resettlement leaves or your actual leave days, and you're not just going AWOL, then, you know, just make sure you get it booked in. But, you know, nothing against the army. It's still a job at the end of the day. I think everyone should join. I don't think they should really contact you unless they know you sort of massively struggle before. But at the end of the day, you're just going from one job to another, but you just need to make sure you transition correctly, because if you have served a long time, especially from 16, you don't have any other sort of skills, qualifications, and you are sort of like just fixed on the army, and it's a completely different world on Civvy Street. You're not going from a civilian job to a civilian job. So just make sure you knuckle down on your resettlement and you use that full 12 months, and you really think about yourself and be like, right, I need to make sure this is sorted so I land on my feet when I leave. But yeah, nothing against the army. They don't check up on you. You just really need to remember that. But then you're just going from a job to a job. They shouldn't really have to. They should just make sure that last 12 months of your resettlement, you were doing what you need to do for when you leave. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know what you think. I've got some more coming soon. It's great to be posting regularly, and I'll see you soon.